Hey there, welcome back to Pepper Geek. In today's video, we'll be talking about when to pick your jalapeno peppers. So jalapenos have to be one of the most commonly grown peppers in the world. So if you're growing some jalapenos, today we're going to talk about when to pick them. Before I get started, if you want to grow amazing pepper plants every year, check out our ebook, Growing Perfect Peppers. It details our entire process of growing pepper plants in containers, in raised beds, directly in the ground. You name it, we cover it in the book. Not only will it show you how to grow peppers from seed to harvest, but it may also encourage you to grow something a little bit outside of the box. So if you're used to growing jalapenos, you might get interested in a different pepper variety after reading our book. So if you're interested, check it out in the description below. Okay, so let's talk picking jalapenos. It's an exciting time of year because our jalapenos are just getting to the peak ripeness point, and we have been picking a ton of them over the last couple of weeks, and we will be for the weeks ahead. So when do you pick them? When's the perfect time to pick your jalapenos? In my opinion, you should wait for your jalapenos to fully ripen. That means change color from green to whatever their final color is going to be. Now, most jalapenos turn red. These two varieties I have next to me here, both are turning red. You can see one here that is starting to turn, and this one is pretty much ready to pick there. It will turn from a deep green through to a very bright red. But there are other varieties. There are some that start off purple and turn red. There are some that start green and turn orange or yellow. So the final color, of course, will depend on the variety that you have chosen to grow, but you will see a very distinct change in color when the peppers are fully ripe. So why do I think that's the best time to pick jalapenos? Well, number one is it's very obvious. You know the peppers have ripened when they've changed color. There's no mistaking it. And you get a much sweeter flavor. And on top of all of that, you're gonna get the peak level of heat. Jalapenos, of course, are spicy peppers, so we're trying to get the hottest peppers we can grow, and by letting them sit on the plant until they are fully ripe through to that final color, you're gonna get the most heat. It's a common misconception that a young, tiny jalapeno will be hotter than a fully ripe one. The truth is that the heat maximizes just as the pepper is reaching its ripe point, so you want to pick as soon as it turns red. Don't wait any longer, don't let it sit on the plant because the heat may actually diminish after that point, and the pepper will likely become softer and eventually mushy on the plant. Now, with all that being said, some people just don't want to wait for their jalapenos to turn color because after all, it does take a while from the pepper reaching a full size to changing color can take 3, sometimes 4 weeks. So now let's talk about picking jalapenos while they're still green, which is a little more complicated. So the first thing to look at is your seed packet, wherever you bought your seeds from or the variety that you're growing. Look it up on the internet and see how long it typically takes for the plant to go from seed to harvest. Usually that number will be from seed to a green jalapeno, and some seed suppliers will actually give you both, so they'll give you days to harvest for a green jalapeno and days to harvest for a red jalapeno. And using that number, you can then look back when you planted your plants and see how long it's been and approximate when you should be getting your first harvest. If you don't have that number or you're not sure what variety of jalapeno you're growing, then the next thing to use is the size of the pepper. Once peppers start forming on your plant, they will grow pretty rapidly and they will eventually reach their mature size. And once they reach that mature size, you want to let them stay on the plant for another week or so, just to let them develop a mature flavor and an ideal crunchiness and just kind of jalapeno you want. If you pick them before they've reached their mature size, you're definitely going to have some bitter jalapenos. They may not be as spicy as you were expecting. The thickness of the walls may be thinner. It's just not going to be an ideal jalapeno, and they're going to be smaller. So if you're going to stuff them, you're going to make some jalapeno poppers, which we recommend, then you definitely want them to have reached that mature size. These are a perfect example of some green jalapenos that are perfectly ready to pick. They've been on the plant in their mature size for at least 7 to 10 days now, and they're a nice deep, rich green color. They're not too light green. Compare that to this younger jalapeno that's a little bit lighter. It's not as mature, it's not as large, and it's just not ready to pick. Now, one other important thing I want to mention on harvesting jalapenos early is that when you pick them early, you're reinvigorating the plant to produce more flowers and eventually produce a second harvest for you. So if you have a shorter growing season or you just want to try to get another yield off of your plant, then pick them promptly as soon as they're ready and the plant will immediately get to work setting another batch of fruits for you. Now, I wanted to mention 2 other things that you might see while your peppers are ripening on the plant. The first is called corking, and we have a video about this. They're those little white stretch marks that run vertically along the peppers. Those tend to happen to a more mature pepper, so if you're starting to see those corking marks, then you know the peppers are getting closer to ripeness. And by the way, those are really nothing to worry about. They are essentially stretch marks. The pepper has grown a little bit faster than the skin itself could grow, so it causes breakages in the skin, and then the skin heals itself, causing those marks. And the other thing we get asked a lot is, why are my jalapenos turning black? Now, this happens as the peppers are starting to ripen. So they won't go directly from green straight to bright red. They will sort of have this transition period where they'll turn a darker green, and then they may actually turn black or a darker color, almost black, before they eventually transition to that bright red color. So unless your peppers are actually rotting on the plant, they're becoming soft, or they have spots on them, black coloration is really nothing to worry about. So what kind of jalapenos do you like growing? We grew 9 different varieties this year, and we're gonna be taste testing all of them to figure out our favorite to grow in our area, which is zone 6A, if you're curious. Let us know your favorite jalapeno variety in the comments below. We always have room for one extra variety or a few every year, so let us know. We're always curious. Thanks so much for watching Pepper Geek, and I'll see you next time.